So your instantaneous velocity is the derivative of the position function. Speed is the absolute value of velocity because remember that velocity takes both speed and direction into account. So if I ever ask for the speed of something, you just need to take the absolute value of the velocity. Here's a general formula for your position function. V naught is your initial velocity, S naught is your initial height, and depending upon whether you're using feet or meters, depends on this G right here. 98% of the time, I use feet in calculus, and so does the AP exam. I know that's annoying because in physics, I know you always use meters. So for our purposes, S of t will equal negative 16 t squared plus V naught t plus S naught. And I will give you that formula. All right, so at time t equals 0, a diver jumps off the diving board that's 32 feet above the water. Her position is given by that. So instead of telling you what the initial velocity is and using the initial height of 32, I just went ahead and gave you the position function. When does she hit the water? How do I want to find this? Right, S of t equals 0. For application problems, you can almost always use your calculator, so we're going to use our calculator to do this. Grab your calculator. It's been a while since we've asked the calculator to solve an equation. I think that for this problem, let's just use the home screen to solve it. Do y'all remember how, or you may just remember that you can solve on the home screen? All right, all of your algebraic functions, like factoring, solving, etc., are under F2. So on the home screen, do F2. Solve is number 1. So negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 32 equals, use your equal sign, it's right there in front of you, 0. Now, before you close your parenthesis, you have to tell the calculator what variable to solve for. Okay, you and I, it's pretty obvious that we want to solve for x. It's the only one. But the calculator makes you tell it. So you have to do comma x and then close your parenthesis. Comma is right above 9. Okay, so x equals 2 or x equals negative 1. X is really representing what variable? Time here. So I'm just dealing with x equals 2 or t equals 2. This is all the work that you have to show me on your paper, but I want to know how you're solving this. You're getting the answer by setting S of t equal to 0 and then using your calculator. So you have to write S of t equals 0. Okay. What is her velocity on impact? Well, what's the relationship between velocity and position? It's the derivative, right. Velocity is just the derivative of position. So v of t equals S prime of t, which would be negative 32t plus 16. So that's basically a general formula for her velocity, but we want the velocity when t is what? 2. Yeah, or you can just write S prime of 2 equals whatever it equals. I was thinking this would be easier to do without the calculator. Negative 48. Like I wrote that v of t equaled S prime of t, and so then I can either use v of 2 or S prime of t. All right, now let me show you a trick on your calculator. I did this one to reinforce what we were doing today with the power rule. However, the calculator will actually take the derivative of S of t and plug in a 2 all in one step, because this calculator is awesome. All right, all of the calculus features are under F3. It says calc up there. So F3, and we want to differentiate. This test that's coming up, one day is with a calculator and one day is without a calculator. So I could ask you to do this question on either part. So you do need to know how to do both. All right, so negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 32 You still have to tell it take the derivative with respect to what variable. So you still have to do the comma x before you close the parenthesis. All right, so if I were to hit enter right now, then the calculator would just take the derivative. Okay, so that's what we did on the paper when I was kind of going through it without the calculator. If you want the calculator to take the derivative and plug in x equal 2, you're going to use this little vertical bar next to the 7 and say take the derivative and make x equal to 2. Negative 48. Okay, when is her velocity equal to 0? What do I need to do? Is that what equal to 0? Derivative. Okay, so v of t equals 0. You can use your calculator to solve this, or if I believe it's t equals 1/2. Yeah, it's not that hard. I'll let y'all pretty much do that on your own. 1/2 second. Seconds. So however you want to solve that, knock yourself out. Let's see, what is her velocity at 1 second? How do I find that? Right, v of 1. And at 1.5 seconds, do that. So you can either plug it in by hand, or you can go back to your calculator. And I already have in my calculator, take the derivative of the position function, and I'm going to change it to take the derivative and find when x is 1. So that's negative 16. And then I can just go back and change it to take the derivative and find the derivative when x equals 1.5. And I get negative 32. For these equations, yeah, using the calculator is a little bit more work. But you will have equations that are much more complicated, and it's easier to use this feature. Okay, so this was negative 16, negative 32. Be sure and label your units, feet per second. Okay, what is her average velocity over this time interval? Now what am I going to use? The average velocity formula, which is just the change in s over change in t, or your slope formula. So s of 1.5 minus s of 0.5 Okay, I'm going to let you use your calculators to find that. Yes, so this one you're going to go, the average velocity is the slope of the position function. So you've got to go all the way back up to your s equation. No, you can't use s prime at all to find the average velocity. Right, but we want the average velocity between those 2 points, not the actual velocity at the 2 points. Your only option for average velocity is the slope on your position graph. Okay, if you're trying to find s of 1.5, my suggestion is, and because you have to find s of 0.5 and s of 1.5, okay, this is a good calculator lesson. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the equation again. Copy. I'm going to go to the home screen and paste it with x equals 0.5. Well, because we're not solving. I'm plugging a number in for x, not setting the equation equal to a number. Okay, so that works. I can literally just, yeah, you're not solving anything, because solving means you're setting an equation equal to a number. Here we are plugging a number in for x. I can just change this to 1.5 and hit enter. Okay.